Commander Hayes stood in the center of the Grand Council chamber and looked at the aliens around him. Most of them were enormous. Some had scales that looked like armor. Others had bodies made of crystal or metal. They all stared at and his team with cold eyes, wore a faded blue t-shirt that said Earth or Bust across the front. His teammates wore similar casual clothes. The aliens wore formal robes and armor that looked expensive and important. The council leader was a being called. His body was made of clear crystal that glowed with red light inside. His voice sounded like breaking glass when he spoke. He looked down at and did not try to hide his disgust. "You are the representatives of this Earth planet?" asked. His tone made it clear he thought this was a waste of time. "That is correct," said with a smile. He sat down casually, crossing his legs like he was in his own living room. His teammate, a woman named Kelly, sat beside him and pulled out a small notebook. Another team member, David, just grinned at the aliens. The council chamber grew quiet. No one spoke to the council members like that. Everyone was always formal and serious and afraid. The aliens did not know what to do with this human who smiled and sat like he owned the place. A warrior named Kel stood up. His body was covered in sharp red skin, and his eyes were black as night. We fought creatures that could tear the armor off ships with their bare hands. What has your pathetic Earth produced that could possibly matter to this council?" Before could answer, an alarm sounded through the chamber. Red lights flashed on the walls. Guards ran in all directions. A tall alien with purple skin rushed to and spoke in quick, urgent tones. Could not understand the language, but he recognized the word for theft. Something had been stolen. His crystal body turned dark red with anger. "The heart has been taken from the vault," he roared. "This is the most valuable artifact in our galaxy. It is 3,000 years old. Someone has stolen it during our opening ceremony." Guards rushed everywhere. They looked panicked. The council members shouted orders at each other. The vault was the most secure room in the building. It was protected by technology and ancient magic that no one had ever broken through before. But now the vault was open and the artifact was gone. Stood up slowly. He walked toward the vault without asking permission. Kelly and David followed him. The guards tried to stop them but held up one of his crystal hands. "Let the human make a fool of himself," said. "Perhaps it will be entertaining before we throw them out." Entered the vault and looked around carefully. He did not touch anything. He just looked. The alarm system was still active. The locks were still working. There were no signs of struggle. He knelt down on the floor and looked at the dust particles in the air. He looked at the ventilation shaft in the ceiling. "Your thief came through here," said, pointing up. "Someone small enough to fit through the ventilation system. They did it during the ceremony when everyone was distracted and the guards were fewer." "Impossible," a council member said. "The ventilation system is 5 stories above this room." "Not if you move through the building from the research wing," said. "I heard water running through pipes in the walls when we walked here. The pipes are connected to the ventilation system. Someone could climb through the pipes, move through the ventilation, and come down through that shaft without triggering any of your electronic alarms." David walked to the wall and pointed. "Look at the dust here. It is disturbed. Someone climbed on this pipe recently. You can see the scratches on the metal where their fingers gripped it." Kelly opened her notebook and showed the council the floor plan she had been drawing since they arrived at the chamber. She had marked the pipes and the ventilation routes with lines and arrows. The aliens stood in silence. No one spoke. Then Kel moved forward and looked at the dust carefully. He looked at the pipes. He looked at the ventilation shaft. Finally, he made a sound that might have been respect. "Your species observed this without technology," Kel said. "Our scanners did not detect the thief's path. Our alarms did not sound. But your human eyes saw what we did not." His crystal body changed color again, this time to a pale green. It was difficult to read his emotions, but thought it might be surprise. "How did you determine this so quickly?" another council member asked. She was a tall being made of living shadow. Her name was. "On Earth, we have to watch for dangers all the time," explained. "We have predators that are smarter than machines. We have storms that are more dangerous than weapons. We have disease and hunger and cold. We survive by looking at everything around us. We notice things because if we do not notice them, we die. That is just how humans are trained from birth." A different council member, one that resembled a large insect with armor plating, made a clicking sound that sounded like thinking. "The human makes a logical point," the insect said. A species from a true would develop such skills naturally. Guards began looking through the ventilation system and the pipes. Within minutes, they found a merchant spy trying to escape through the upper levels. The spy was a small alien from a weak species that served the Merchant Collective, a group of traitors and thieves who wanted power in the galaxy. The Council took the spy into custody immediately. Turned to face again. His crystal form was now a calm blue color. "You have our thanks," Commander Hayes said. His voice still sounded like breaking glass, but something had changed in his tone. This was clever thinking. Perhaps Earth deserves a seat at this table after all. The council chamber felt different now. The aliens no longer looked at with complete contempt. They looked at him with curiosity. Over the next few days, and his team attended meetings where the council discussed trade, military matters, and galactic law. Sat quietly most of the time and listened. He asked simple questions that the aliens had never thought to ask. He pointed out problems that their complex technology could not solve. One afternoon, Kel approached in the common area where the delegates rested between meetings. The red-skinned warrior carried 2 drinks and sat down across from the human. "I want to know more about Earth," Kel said directly. "Your planet is truly..." "One of the worst," confirmed. He took the drink and sipped it carefully. It tasted like metal and electricity, but he did not show his discomfort. "Everything on Earth either kills you or takes everything from you. We have volcanic mountains that shake the ground and destroy entire cities. We have oceans with storms that sink ships. We have animals that hunt us for food. We have diseases that spread through our communities. We have ice ages where everything freezes. We have droughts where nothing grows. And we keep surviving anyway." Kel made the clicking sound again. "This explains your casual confidence. You are not fearless because you are strong. You are fearless because you have faced true death so many times that you no longer respect it as your enemy." "Something like that," agreed. Over the next week, more council members sought out to talk with him. They asked him about Earth's history. They asked about human biology. They asked why humans smiled when they were afraid. They asked why humans made jokes about dangerous situations. They asked why humans cried after they won battles instead of celebrating their victory. The Shadow being spent hours with listening to stories about Earth families. She was fascinated by the fact that human parents would die to protect their children. On her world, children were raised communally, and parents showed no special attachment to their offspring. The Insect Council member, who introduced himself as, asked why humans needed so much sleep, explained that sleep was how human brains processed fear and memory and experience, made clicking sounds for a very long time after hearing this explanation. Slowly, the other aliens began to understand. Humanity was not strong because of technology. Humanity was strong because humans had learned to survive impossible things. Humans did not give up when situations seemed hopeless. Humans protected each other because they understood that surviving alone meant nothing if everyone you loved was dead. One evening was sitting alone in his room when all the council members requested his presence in the main chamber. He walked there wondering what had happened now. When he entered, stood in the center of the room. "Commander Hayes," said formally, "we have decided to recommend to the galactic governance body that Earth be recognized as a true nation. This means humanity will be offered membership in the council. You will have a voice in matters that affect all the galaxy." Felt his chest tighten with emotion. This was exactly why his team had come here. This was what they had fought for through years of negotiations and waiting for their moment. "Thank you," said. "We accept this honor with respect." 2 weeks later was standing at the observation window of the council chamber when the communication came through. An urgent message, a threat, a challenge to the authority of the council. The Merchant Collective had learned that humanity would be joining the council. The Merchant Collective was not a group of honorable traitors. They were thieves and pirates who wanted power and control. They operated through manipulation and threats. They controlled the weaker species of the galaxy by offering protection in exchange for loyalty and resources. The prospect of a new species joining the council terrified them. A new voice meant new opposition. A new voice meant they could not control the council votes anymore. So the Merchant Collective sent their ultimatum. The message appeared on every screen in the chamber. A tall human-like being with skin the color of rust read the demands in a cold voice. "The Merchant Collective offers the council a choice," the message said. "Accept humanity into your ranks and we will cut off trade to every world that refuses to serve us. We will blockade your supply routes. We will stop the flow of resources that your civilizations depend on. We will cause suffering and starvation across your territories. Or reject humanity and allow them to remain unrecognized outcasts. Make your choice in 48 hours or we begin our embargo. The council chamber erupted into chaos. Some members wanted to accept the collective's demands. Others wanted to reject humanity completely. Tried to maintain order, but the council was divided. Sat calmly and listened to all of them argue. He did not interrupt. He did not speak until called for him directly. "What do you have to say about this threat, Commander?" asked. "I would like to tell you something about humanity," said. He stood up slowly and looked at each council member in turn. You all faced impossible situations and survived, but I want to know something. On your worlds, what was the thing that made you strong enough to survive?" Kel answered first. "Combat, we fought and killed everything that threatened us." "And did you do this alone?" asked. "No," Kel admitted. "We fought in groups, we protected each other." "And did you only protect your own kind?" Kel was silent. Continued. "On Earth, we survived because we protected the weak. We protected our children even though they could not help us hunt or fight. We protected our elders even though they could no longer contribute. We protected anyone who could not protect themselves. This is what made us strong. This is what saved our species." He paused and let his words settle into the minds of the council. "The Merchant Collective says they will cause suffering if you accept us. They will starve your worlds. They will cut off your resources. But I want to ask you something. If you reject humanity now because you are afraid of suffering, then what are you? You are not warriors anymore. You are victims of fear. You are slaves to the collective's threats." Stood up, "The human is right. We did not become strong by accepting threats." Made clicking sounds in agreement. "If we surrender our choice now, we have already lost." The council voted immediately. The vote was unanimous. Humanity would be accepted into the council. The Merchant Collective would be that their ultimatum was rejected. But within hours, received a private message from the collective. It was not a threat this time. It was a warning. They said that a neutral outpost would be attacked in exactly 12 hours. The outpost housed researchers and their families, thousands of innocent lives. The attack was meant to be a demonstration of what the Merchant Collective could do. Immediately went to, the evacuation ship that commanded was small and fast. It was not designed for combat. It had no weapons and minimal armor. The Merchant Collective had 3 destroyer ships near the neutral outpost. The destroyers had weapons that could melt solid rock. But was not thinking about the destroyers. He was thinking about the people. His team consisted of Kelly, David, and 2 combat specialists named and Sarah. They had planned the mission for exactly 6 hours. The goal was simple and impossible. Evacuate as many civilians as possible from the outpost before the destroyers arrived. When they entered the outpost airspace, the place was chaos. Researchers and their families were running through corridors trying to reach the evacuation points. The outpost commander was trying to coordinate the escape, but there was not enough transport. There were not enough ships. The outpost could only hold 10,000 people, and all of them needed to leave immediately. Ordered his team to begin loading people onto his small ship, 50 people, then 100, then 200. The ship was designed for maybe 100 maximum, but pushed it past its limits. He pushed it past safety margins. He filled it with people standing shoulder to shoulder, families holding their children, elderly researchers who could barely move. Then his scanner showed the destroyers approaching. Fast, too fast. "We are out of time," David reported from the communications station. "The destroyers will be in firing range in minutes." Made a decision. He told his team to take the ship full of evacuees and launch immediately. He would go back to the outpost and continue evacuating more people. Kelly argued with him, said it was suicide, did not listen. He ordered them to go. As his team left, ran back into the outpost. He was alone now, but the outpost had more escape pods, small pods designed for only one person. He began filling them with families of 2 and 3. He violated every safety protocol. He crammed children into spaces designed for single adults. He loaded people into pods and launched them manually one after another. The destroyer's weapons began firing. The outpost shook. Explosions erupted in the corridors, worked faster, faster, more people, more pods. He was not thinking anymore. He was just acting. This was what humans did. When death came, humans stood and fought death and protected others, even if protecting others meant dying themselves. A huge explosion collapsed a section of the corridor near. He was thrown against a wall. Pain shot through his entire body. He thought he might have broken ribs, but he got up anyway. He kept moving. He kept loading people into pods. Then Kelly's voice came through his communicator. "Commander, we launched all 3 pods. They are heading towards safe space. 200 more people alive because of you." "How many more can you take?" asked, coughing. "The ship is damaged but functional. We can make another run. But Commander, you need to get to a pod now. The outpost is falling apart." Looked around. There were still maybe 50 people left in the immediate area. Families, children, elderly. He could not leave them. He gathered them together and herded them toward the remaining escape pods. More explosions, more sections collapsing. One of the destroyers had hit the power core of the outpost. The walls were beginning to crack. The life support was failing. The remaining pod had space for maybe 20 people, pushed 30 into it anyway. As the pod launched, heard a new sound, new weapons firing, but not at the outpost, at the destroyers. Kelly had returned with the evacuation ship. She was firing at the collective ships, keeping them at bay, giving the remaining survivors time to escape. The merchant collective pilot did not expect resistance. The human ship was small and damaged and should have been running away. Instead, it was attacking. The collective pilot panicked and fired more weapons at the outpost, trying to finish the job before the human ship reached them. But the human ship was faster and more maneuverable. Kelly knew human tactics. She knew how to make the collective pilots angry and stupid, and mistakes came back to the council chamber in a medical suit. His injuries were serious, but the alien's medical technology was advanced. He would recover completely. The bandages covered most of his body, but he insisted on standing when he entered the chamber. He refused to be carried in a bed or rest in a wheelchair. Rose from his seat, every council member stood. Then the guards stood. Then every being in the chamber stood and turned to Face and his team. "You saved 3,000 lives," said. His crystal form glowed with a color that had never seen before. Not red, not blue, something like golden light. "You faced weapons and destruction and death, and you did not retreat. You held the line. You protected the weak." Kelly stepped forward. "We did what anyone should do. We did what humans do." Made clicking sounds that echoed through the entire chamber. More council members made similar sounds. It was approval. It was respect. It was the sound of warriors honoring other warriors. "The council votes," announced. "On this day, humanity is accepted into the council. You are no longer outsiders. You are equals. You are one of us." The vote was unanimous. Not a single council member opposed. Produced a document made of crystal. It glowed with ancient power and authority. Signed it. His signature sat next to signatures from beings millions of years older than humanity, from species that had conquered worlds and survived extinction events. "There is one thing more," said. He removed his formal robe and handed it to. "Every council member wears a mark of their origin. I want humanity to wear this." The robe was made of fabric that seemed to shift between colors. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Put it on over his t-shirt. The Earth or Bust logo still showed on his chest underneath. The council members laughed. It was the first time it heard them truly laugh together. "A warrior in a t-shirt and an ancient robe," Kel said, shaking his head. "Only humans could make this look correct." Made a decision in that moment. He sent a communication back to Earth, to the leaders of the human government, to the people of humanity. The message said, "We have earned our place. The galaxy now knows what we are. We are warriors. We are survivors. We are protectors. We stand at the table with ancient powers and we do not bow. We stand in our t-shirts and our grins and we do not apologize. We are humans and we have come to the stars." The council chamber became a place where humans and aliens sat as equals, attended every meeting. He wore his ancient robe over his casual t-shirt. He made jokes that confused the aliens and observations that changed how they thought about problems. He protected the weak and challenged the powerful, and did it all with a smile. 3 years later, the Merchant Collective attempted another attack. They learned that day that humanity did not negotiate with threats. They learned that attacking a nation that had nothing to lose and everything to protect was the most dangerous mistake they could make. Humanity had earned its place, and humanity would never let anyone take it away. She managed to disable one of the collective destroyers. The weapons went offline. The ship was now just floating dead in space. The other 2 destroyers turned to chase Kelly's ship, but by now had made his way to the last functioning escape pod. He climbed inside and launched, following the signal of Kelly's ship. The evacuation ship picked him up 10 minutes later, and Kelly jumped the ship into faster-than-light speed. They were out of the system in moments. Behind them, the neutral outpost fell silent. It was destroyed, but most of the people who had been there were alive. 3,000 people. 3,000 people who would have died if and his team had not been willing to die trying to save them. "We cannot send a military force," said. "It would take 2 days to assemble a response. The outpost would be destroyed long before help arrives." "Then we do not send a military force," said. "We send a rescue team, a small team that can move fast and evacuate people." "You mean your team?" said. "Yes," confirmed. "Humanity entered this council wearing T-shirts and grins. Let us show you what we do when people need saving." Kel stood up. "There is one thing more, Commander. The council members wish to visit Earth. We wish to see this that created warriors like you." Smiled. "We would be honored to show you." Smiled and adjusted his T-shirt. "I appreciate that. Back home, this is just Tuesday for us." The council members looked confused, but Kel made that same clicking sound again. This time was certain it was laughter.